Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Sangat Ji. Blessings to you all. So excited to be here today to share with you beautiful discourse as we have now traveled through the 4 stages of listening. And now we're going to start to embark on the 4 steps of Manan, or faith and acceptance. Today we'll dive into a deeper understanding of Pori 12 of the Japji Sahib, what faith is, and how we can cultivate more faith in our own lives. And before we get into the actual Japji, I wish to start with a story. Because when I was researching for this discourse, this specific story really jumped out at me. It's a story, a sake of unshakable belief and innocence that is still circulating to this day. And it is the story of Bhagat Danaji, who beautifully exemplifies profound faith and devotion that made even the divine take notice and manifest on the physical plane of existence here with us all. And so this is the story of Bhagat Danaji. For there was once a man named Danaji, and he lived in Rajasthan in India. And despite his humble circumstances, Danaji was known for his contentment and peace of mind. He was a hard-working man who labored on his farm all day and was satisfied with what little he had. Despite his lack of formal religious knowledge, he had a pure and innocent love for God. And every day, on his way to work on the farm, Danaji passed the house of a Pandit. "Good morning, Panditji," he would say when he was passing the Pandit's house. And Danaji used to listen to him singing his bhajans and watch him performing his rituals. Danaji didn't really understand what the Pandit was doing or what his songs actually meant, but he was always interested in the actions of the Pandit regardless. But in all of his years of walking past the Pandit's house, he had never actually asked him what any of these things meant or why he was actually even doing them. And so one day, Danaji noticed that the Pandit was feeding a stone statue. Danaji was very confused by this, and he wondered why the Pandit was doing this. He became so curious that he had to ask, and he said, "Panditji, what are you doing? Why are you feeding the stone?" The Pandit was really hungry, and he didn't really actually want to talk to Danaji at this time. He retorted, "Silly man, this is no stone. This is a thakur. I'm busy feeding him, so please leave me alone." Danaji laughed. "Oh, you're feeding a stone. What is the use in doing that?" And the Pandit replied, "I told you it is not a stone. This is a thakur. It is God." Danaji was shocked. Really? Well, what happens when you feed the stone? I mean, when you feed the thakur? "My good man, the thakur gives you all you could dream of, everything. If you can please thakur, you'll receive everything and anything you wish. I have to eat now. Please go. Danaji thought about this, and he liked the idea of giving a small amount of his food to this stone god and getting everything he wished for in return. So Danaji asked the Pandit one last question before he left. "Wise Pandit, could I have a thakur?" The Pandit just wanted to eat, and he was really annoyed now. So he just looked around and quickly picked up a stone off the ground and handed it to Danaji. "Here, this is your thakur. First you must feed thakur, then you can eat yourself. Do you understand? Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to eat." Danaji said, I promise I'll take care of it just as he explained to me. I promise," in his ignorance and innocence. As soon as Danaji left, the Pandit dived into his food, happy to see that Danaji had finally left him alone to eat his meal. Danaji hurried home with the stone held closely against his chest. I have a thakur. As soon as he got back, he carefully washed the stone. There you go, nice and clean. And then he lovingly cooked some chapati and made lassi. "You're gonna like this, you're really gonna love it." He placed the food in front of Thakur and said, "Thakurji, I have made this food for you with my own hands. Please eat. And afterwards, I would like to discuss a few things with you. I need a new cow and some other simple things. Oh, but first eat the food. You're really, really gonna like it." Danaji sat in front of Thakur and waited for him to start eating. A little while passed and Thakur showed no signs of eating. Thakur was just sitting there, not moving, not doing anything. Danaji continued to wait. After a while, Danaji spoke to Thakur. Please, Thakurji, eat. I hope you like the food. This is the tastiest meal I can cook for you. I promise. I just want to please you. I won't eat until you eat. So please, I'm begging you, begin eating for my sake and yours. And so the day turned into night, but the stone did not partake in the meal. Danaji, however, did not lose his faith. He believed that perhaps his offerings were not worthy enough, or his devotion lacked the intensity required. His faith was unwavering, and instead of questioning the efficacy of the stone, he questioned his level of his own devotion. Danaji was worried that Thakur might be angry at him. He wasn't sure if he had done something wrong. And so Danaji began pleading with Thakur. Look, Thakurji, I've not eaten many hours and I'm very hungry. Please eat. Then I can eat and we can talk. I hope I didn't do anything to annoy you. I'm sorry if I have. Still, nothing happened. Thakur didn't even budge. Many hours passed by now, and it was nighttime. Danaji was starting to get angry. Thakurji, you're being so stubborn. Why will you not eat this meal I prepared for you? Why won't you just talk? Danaji just cried out, you're being so rude, jeez. Nothing happened. His anger had no effect on Thakur. The sun began to rise and soon it would be day again. Danaji was utterly confused. He was listening to the pundit's instructions, but nothing was happening. He went through many emotions. He would be upset, sometimes he would begin crying. Finally, in his desperation, Danaji began pleading with the stone. With tear-filled eyes, he said that he would not eat until the stone ate, as he felt he had failed in his service. He expressed his concerns and his innermost feelings to the stone as one would to a beloved friend. His heartache and desperation were palpable, and his sincerity could not be questioned. He would beg Thakur to eat. Please, Thakurji, please, I'm begging you, I'm so hungry. And other times he would hug Thakur, hoping that he could encourage him to begin eating. It's okay. You don't want to eat now. This went on for 2 whole days because Danaji wouldn't eat before Thakur. He had no food and no sleep. In all of this time, he tried everything, but nothing worked. Thakur still would not eat. But Danaji was stubborn. He refused to give in. I will not eat until you eat first. And Danaji grew very weak. He no longer had the energy to continue tussling with Thakur and go through this vast range of emotions. And on the 3rd day, before the sun rose, the heavens, watching this play, decided to intervene. Moved by his immense faith and earnest devotion and trust of the pundit's words, God could no longer stay as a silent stone. Bhagat Danaji had a vision. He saw a beautiful young man in front of him, glowing and full of light. Danaji was amazed. Suddenly all his worries, emotions went away. And he just stared wide-eyed at this beautiful young man. The young man finally spoke, Dana, it is I. Danaji jumped to his feet. Thakurji, oh, you must be starving too. I'll warm up the food. I'll be right back. Danaji fed the young man. And then he ate what was left over. This was his first meal in more than 2 days and nights. Danaji and the young man could not be separated. And Vaheguru spoke to Danaji through the young man. And Danaji's love for him grew, and they spent the next few days in each other's company, completely engrossed. Danaji would hold his hand and listen to his beautiful songs, and Danaji had never experienced such bliss in his life ever. And so, one day, the pundit was passing Danaji's hut. Danaji saw him and ran out to him. Panditji, you are the most wonderful man. Thank you so much for giving me Thakur. Thank you. I could never thank you enough. Thank you. He was just bursting with joy. And the pundit was so confused. I don't know what you mean, but okay, I'm happy you're happy, okay? Anyways, I'm in a hurry. I'm late for a big pundit conference. Goodbye. Panditji, please don't leave so soon. Please come drink some lassi. Thakurji makes the sweetest lassi. The pundit was now very puzzled. His Thakur had never made him lassi. What do you mean? Thakur makes lassi. Oh yeah, Panditji, it is the best I ever tasted. That is not all he does. Just look at him tending the cows. Look how radiant he is. Just look over there. And Danaji points out to the field. And the Pandit could see that someone was driving the plow behind the cows out on the field. But the more he looked, he still could not see anybody actually there. What? Just the cows and the plow all by themselves? The Pandit asked Danaji, who is steering your cows? Who is that? A smile spread across Danaji's face. That's Thakurji, of course. Can't you recognize him? Oh, Panditji, you should hear him sing. It is the most beautiful sound my ears have ever heard. The Pandit was fascinated. He asked Danaji many more questions about Thakur. After a while, Danaji realized that the Pandit could not see Thakurji. Both Danaji and the Pandit were confused by this. Why can't you see Thakurji? How come you can see the Thakur? Don't worry. Danaji said, I'll ask him. He knows everything. Later that day, Danaji went to the young man and asked Thakurji, why can't Panditji see you? How come I'm the only one that can see how beautiful you are? The young man replied, anyone who is pure can see me. How to become pure? Nam. Reciting the Nam. If someone meditates on the Nam even just a little, then they will see me. Danaji was silent for a few minutes. He thought about what Thakurji had said. Finally, he spoke, well, I have not recited the Nam, so how come I can see you? The young man reached forward and placed his finger on Danaji's forehead. And Danaji had a vision immediately. He saw himself over many previous lifetimes. He saw that he had practiced great spiritual discipline. He saw that he had shown great strength and dedication in past lives, that he stood in water all night and in hot sun all day in one lifetime, and he held a vow of silence in another, and he had resisted the temptation of lust in even another. However, he saw that he had not progressed at all spiritually, and this all changed when he met a guru in his last life. And this guru had taught him the gift of Nam. And so by doing Nam Simran for even one lifetime, the purity came, having the vision of the Lord, and now is the reward of the Nam from his last life. Once he began to see this, Danaji fell at the young man's feet. His heart opened and he began to cry. Forgive me, please, my Lord, I've been such a fool. I treated you as an equal. If only I had known. The young man picked Danaji up from the ground and hugged him. He sang him many comforting songs in his sweet, beautiful voice. And the young man spoke, Bye, Danaji, the way you see me now is not the true way of meeting me. It's only an illusion. The real way to meet me is inside of yourself. Meditate on the Nam and we'll be truly together. The young man vanished into thin air. Danaji was filled with radiant light. Now he knew what he needed to do in order to be one with Vaheguru again. He rediscovered the magic of Nam Simran. A few days later, Danaji had a deep realization of Vaheguru. He saw in his mind that he and Vaheguru were one, and so his soul was merged into the great soul. This miraculous event astounded everyone who had heard about it. The villagers were amazed and filled with wonder. They had seen Danaji's transformation from a simple farmer to a man who had a direct encounter with the divine. His profound faith and the direct experience of God's manifestation were something that they could simply not comprehend or describe. They realized that the depth of faith is not something that can be conveyed through mere words, but has to be experienced personally. And so this story of Bhagat Danaji embodies the spirit of Puri 12 from Japji Sahib, showing us that true faith and understanding of the divine can only be known through direct personal experience. And the experience of the divine is beyond the expression of words or understanding of the mind, and that it is this realization that deepens one's faith and spiritual journey. For the true spiritualist, this is known as Manan. This Manan is born out of faith and acceptance. To have faith in the divine will and acceptance of the divine will, so much so that if we choose an action which we think is right, only to discover that it didn't actually alleviate the situation we set out to overcome, we should not consider that our right action was useless. We have the opportunity to trust in God's larger plan, which we cannot understand from our limited perspective, and know that our right action still holds value and meaning. We must believe that every righteous action will eventually lead to a positive result. That faith that our right actions are part of God's great design, even if we do not see the results, dispels worries about our failures and brings us peace. For Danaji, with true devotion he displayed as a farmer, he did not have to wait long to see the result. But also, for Danaji, he did not see the true result of his efforts of many lifetimes until a lifetime later after reciting Nam Simran. And so in one soul, he shows us both examples of faith acceptance in his various lifetimes. So let's begin our exploration of Pori 12 in Japji Sahib in its entirety. And please forgive me if I do not pronounce it properly, but I will do my best. Mane ki ga kehi na jai, je ko kahai pachai pachutai, kaga kalam na likna hare, mane kabe karan vichare, esa nam naranjan hoi. And so we start with Mane ki ga kehi na jai. The state of the faithful cannot be described. The state of the faithful cannot be described. Dear Sangatji, this is not a statement of defeat. Rather, it is an invitation to journey into a space that transcends language, transcends thought. It calls us to dwell in a state of knowing that is intimately experienced, not intellectually understood. To be faithful here doesn't only imply religious adherence, following this set of rules. It points towards a deep trust in the divine, the universe, and the eternal flow of life. This trust guides us, instills in us a courage to embrace life in all of its colorful hues. It is expressing an unshakable faith that is beyond articulation, beyond the confines of words and intellectual understanding. This state of being is attained through an intuitive knowing that goes beyond the ordinary mind. The faithful ones, such as Bhagat Danaji, live in a state of grace and tranquility that cannot be adequately described by language. And we saw that in Bhagat Danaji's worshiping of the stone. I mean, he went for multiple days. How many people would have just quit after seeing the stone not eating for a little bit of time, when they started getting hungry, when things started getting difficult, right? Bhagat Danaji kept his faith despite all of the ridiculous circumstances of his own mind attacking him. And so this level of faith, it is an experiential state known only to the one who is immersed in it. It is like trying to explain the taste of sweetness to someone who has never tasted sweetness in their life. You see, words may provide an idea of what the sweetness is, but the actual experience of sweetness can only be known by tasting it yourself. So how can we taste a sweetness that we have never, ever tasted before? For that, one must cultivate faith in the divine. You see, faith is the foundation of any spiritual journey. It does not mean blind belief, but a deep trust in the process of life, in the benevolence of the universe, and in the unspoken wisdom of the divine. Having faith means letting go of expectations. You see, spiritual experiences are highly individual and cannot be compared. We cannot compare our own journey to Bhagat Danaji's. Don't seek to have the same experiences as others or described in the text. Allow your own unique journey to unfold. Let go of these expectations about what faith should feel like and trust your path. Trust the divine leading you to your next step. Sometimes in trying to describe and understand our own experiences, we might feel frustrated or limited. And recognize that this is a natural part of the journey. Rather than getting caught up in trying to define everything, practice surrendering and letting go in the moment, allowing it to be as it is. And so accepting the beauty of the present moment so that you can begin to embrace that indescribable nature of things, becoming comfortable with the mystery of life, with simply not knowing, with not being able to describe everything, by being able to just simply embrace the beauty of the pathless path. And you can further cultivate this faith through meditation, prayer, contemplation, and studying the spiritual texts that resonate with you. And remember that the journey of faith is not a linear path, nor is it a destination to reach. It's an ongoing process, a deepening relationship with the divine, with all of life, with all that is. So be patient, be persistent, continue to show up for yourself and others, and allow your unique journey of faith to unfold in its own wonderful and honestly mysterious way. And furthermore, it goes on to say, Je kokahai pichai pachutai, the one who tries to describe this shall regret the attempt. Right? The one who tries to describe this shall regret the attempt. So what happens when we try to articulate this profound experience? And it states, the one who's going to try to describe that is going to regret it. And this is not a caution against sharing your experience, but a loving acknowledgement of the limitations of language. You see, language is a tool, a bridge to communicate between me, you, the rest of the world. Yet the depth of this spiritual state is such that it bathes us in the indescribable. Those who try to articulate the spiritual state using ordinary language will find their words falling short. And trust me, trying my best here, and this is not even going to touch anything of your own spiritual experience. If you really try to turn into words, it's just, you'll find it's just insufficient, right? So the experience is beyond the grasp of intellectual understanding and cannot be confined within the bounds of language. The depth and breadth of such an experience are beyond our ability to encapsulate in words. We have the opportunity to recognize the limitations of language, acknowledge that words are often insufficient to fully express the profoundness of a spiritual experience. Language is a tool that helps us communicate, but it has its limits, especially when it comes to capturing experiences that transcend the physical and mental realms. And so the true spiritualist will value experience over intellectualization. And one could even look at the capturing of the genie in the bottle, this intellect and intellectualization of experience. One could actually see that might be egoic validation to share that, look what I've achieved, look what happened to me, this, that, the other thing, right? So we have to be mindful of that as well. And while that intellectual understanding is valuable, it's not the end goal. So seek to experience the divine directly. And once again, this can happen through meditation or through selfless service, another form of meditation, or being in the company of the holy to cultivate a deeper and more profound connection with the divine. So strive to experience spirituality firsthand rather than only trying to understand it within the confines of a limited mind, whether it's through your own experience, through texts, or watching somebody else's experience, or hearing about somebody else's experience. And it also is an opportunity to practice humility and recognize that as much as we learn and grow, there will be always aspects of the divine and the spiritual journey that are simply beyond our mental comprehension. This recognition cultivates humility to know that we don't know. I know, I don't know, right? So we have the opportunity to say, I don't know. We don't know it all, and trust in the omnipotent and omnipresent divine to help us awaken to the actual supreme reality, not the one that we've masked over our eyes. Humility is a valuable quality on the spiritual path, and as we know, it's one of the 5 divine virtues. Remember, the spiritual path is about direct personal experience. Every single enlightened being from any lineage reminds us of that fact. So while we use language as a tool to share and learn, the ultimate understanding comes from diving into the vast ocean of the inner space where words cease and pure consciousness prevails. Understand that spiritual experiences are deeply personal and respect the great mystery. So don't diminish your experiences by always trying to force them into language's constraints. Sometimes just allow yourself to enjoy the moment. And furthermore, it goes on by saying, Kagad kalam na likanahare, saying neither paper nor pen can narrate. So it's kind of adding on, right? And so this further emphasized that you're not going to be able to capture it. It speaks to the uniqueness of this journey, that each journey, again, is deeply personal, and one's experiences and realizations will never fully actually be captured in writing or even be able to be told fully, right? It emphasizes that the state of the faithful, that divine bliss, the profound understanding that comes with true faith cannot ever fully be described. And we've kind of already gone over this, so it's just reiterating that, emphasizing it, and it's really saying that it can only be known by the one that has obtained such a state. And this is why you saw when Bhagat Danaji was explaining the situation with Thakur to the Panditji, hey, don't you see Thakur? Like, he's there, he's doing this, he's amazing, I can hear all this beautiful music. And he soon realized that no matter how much he tried to describe the experience to the Pandit, because the Pandit hadn't experienced it, he couldn't relate. Not only that, he wasn't having the experience. He could never understand the experience that Bhagat Danaji was having. And Bhagat Danaji was only having that experience because of his profound faith, right? And so another example too is, many of you have heard the poetry that I share and give me beautiful reflections and this and that, which is quite nice. But can you even begin to imagine the depth of the experience that the gurus had, to be inspired to recite countless shabds in perfect musical tempo, perfectly addressing every ailment of the human condition, speaking absolutely from pure, eternal, perennial truth, while in complete union with the divine? How can any words do it justice? How can we even describe what the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is? I feel like this is exactly what this verse speaks to. And thus, it's pointing to the experience. It's helping us, guide us to having that personal experience with the divine. And that's really what the way that we can take the framing of any spiritual scripture and other people's experience. It's pointing us to the thing, but it isn't necessarily the end result, right? We don't want to end in the intellectualization of the understanding. We want to experience it ourselves. So that's why the true spiritualist will seek this direct experience of the divine through merging into the Shabd. The spiritual journey, as we said it before, is not about reading about enlightenment, listening to others talk about enlightenment, watching YouTube videos about enlightenment, but it's about striving for it through daily practice, changing our thoughts, changing our habits, cultivating more of the divine virtues within ourselves, and prioritizing those practices like meditation, prayer, mindfulness, selfless service, and seeking the company of the holy, all which can offer direct encounters with the divine. And so to go beyond the pen and paper, one must practice inner silence. For words often fail to capture the true depth of spiritual experiences. When you're speaking, you're actually filling your mind with noise, and you can't actually listen. Try speaking and listening at the same time. It's usually not the ideal combination. So we must cultivate an inner silence to be able to hear clearly. It will allow us to dwell in this space beyond words, where direct knowing experience can take place. And so learn to value silence and the non-verbal aspects of your spiritual journey. In these moments of inner stillness, one can often find profound insights, that words will never be able to adequately convey, and find comfort in that silence. A lot of people are just uncomfortable in silence. People have to put on white noise to go to sleep, or be around a lot of people, or always constantly be in a relationship. It's like, find that moment for yourself to be like, wow, I'm just by myself, I'm alone, and this is my sanctuary. Find comfort in that. Learn to relish those quiet moments of contemplation and meditation. And as my master would often tell me, to inspire me to meditate, it is in these moments of inner stillness, beyond the words, beyond the thoughts, that is when you will connect directly with the divine, which no paper or pen will be able to ever record. So, this verse is a gentle reminder of the inadequacy of physical tools in conveying the profundity of spiritual experiences. It calls us to go beyond the words, to dive into the depth of spiritual direct experience and embrace the mystery of the divine. So rather than merely reading or writing about spirituality, focus on experiencing the divine yourself through meditation, prayer, selfless service, or seeking the company of the holy, all which will further strengthen your connection and leave you in awe of the Creator. Vaheguru. This path gets more and more beautiful. Like, as you go deeper in cultivating your connection with the divine, it just brings out a joy, a happiness, a peace within yourself. And I feel like it's what this next line is actually alluding to. Mane kabe karan vichare. And it says, the faithful live out their lives contemplating this. The faithful live out their lives contemplating this. They are spending their lives in contemplation. It's not an idle contemplation, but an engaged one, a lived experience where every moment, every circumstance becomes a mirror reflecting the divine, because they've found it within themselves. Like Bhagatanaji, right? As soon as he found it, he's running out to Panditji and he's expressing just pure joy, happiness. Like he found that peace. And those faithful live with a deep sense of this openness and contemplative engagement with life. Here the faithful of the Mane refer to the individuals who have fully embraced faith in the divine or the eternal truth. Such individuals spend their lives in deep contemplation, immersing themselves in the exploration and understanding of this profound faith. Those with deep faith are constantly engaged with inquiry of this divine mystery, and their lives become a reflection of this profound contemplation. So, contemplating perhaps the divine virtues, right? What is divine love? What is humility? What is contentment or compassion or truth? And to become more like the faithful, we can cultivate mindfulness to be present. Practicing mindfulness helps us to remain in the present moment, to be aware, allowing us to fully engage with our experiences. And in this awareness, that forms the foundation of contemplation, to start to become aware of the divine in all aspects of our lives. And we have the opportunity to embrace this lifestyle as well, because spirituality can't really be confined to just specific periods of prayer or meditation. Like, I'm only going to pray at this time, and that's the only time I'm ever going to be spiritual. Or when I go to the temple, that's the only time I'm spiritual, like I'm only spiritual when I'm meditating. No, it's a way of life. try to embody this by incorporating contemplation into your daily life. This could mean contemplating the divine while carrying out your daily chores, or making conscious efforts to see the divine in everyone and everything around you. It can become a part of your daily routine. It doesn't have to be just sitting in silence. It can be contemplation on a piece of scripture, a spiritual concept, or simply the mystery of existence itself. But it is important to establish a regular meditation practice and engage with your spiritual text, because meditation can provide that structured, focused time for contemplation, and regular practice will deepen your understanding and connection to the divine. And while reading and reflecting on these spiritual texts can also provide valuable insights and provoke thoughts, aiding the deepening of your contemplation. So try not to rush through them, but take time to ponder over each verse or teaching. Then bring these musings into your meditation from time to time to see what will be revealed to you by the divine. As an example, there's many ways to do this contemplation, right? And if you're following me on Facebook, for me, I personally enjoy creating art that I feel represents a daily verse that I connect with. And so the way you contemplate your spiritual texts or experiences can completely vary. Find what resonates with you the best, but most importantly, add it to your daily routine to help keep you focused amidst the world that is full of distractions. And remember that contemplation is not about striving for a specific outcome or answer. It's more about maintaining an open and curious mind, exploring the depths of your faith, and allowing these insights to naturally arise within you. It's an ongoing, ever-deepening process that enriches our spiritual journey as we walk towards self-realization. And bringing us to the close of this poem is Esa Nam Niranjan Hoy. Such is the purity of the name. Here, Nam refers to the divine name, the essence of the divine. Niranjan is a term that signifies purity and perfection, untouched by any imperfections. Thus, this line speaks about the immaculate purity and perfection that resides in the divine name. It is so pure as it's untouched by the physical worlds, impurities, and remains constant in its divine essence. This refers to the divine name, or the essence of reality, and it speaks to that unblemished perfection that is inherent in all of creation. And to invoke the name is to align ourselves with this reality, this purity. The name itself, or the divine essence, is perfectly pure, 100%. And that purity is within every sentient being's heart, including yours. So how can we cultivate this purity? And purity here in this line is not about physical cleanliness, but about the purity of our thoughts, our intentions, our actions. So strive to align your thoughts, words, and actions with love, compassion, truth, and the other divine qualities. We can do this by practicing Nam Simran, as Bhagavatanji did, or the remembrance of the divine name. This is done through the repetition, the chanting of the mantra of the name of the divine. And this name is respective to the way that you connect to the divine in your practice. And through this practice, you will align yourself with that purity. And in doing so, the true spiritualist will surrender fully to the divine. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. Instead, it signifies letting go of egotistic control and aligning with the divine will. Through surrender, we open ourselves to the divine purity that is always present each and every moment, which means it's the highest vibrational reality. It's the highest possible, most beautiful thing that could happen in each and every moment if we only surrender to divine will. It is the purest thing that could happen in that moment. Anything can happen at any moment. But most times, we have a veil of what we think that we want to do. But if we surrender to a higher way, it'll be better than we could even imagine, right? And we can also incorporate this purity into our daily lives. We can try to see the pure divine essence in everyone and everything. This can transform mundane activities into spiritual practice and help you cultivate a deeper sense of purity and unity with the divine. So how can we practice seeing the inherent purity in yourself and in others, right? This can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to recognize and honor the divine essence within you and everyone you encounter. And in modern terms, it's like hitting the refresh button on your internet browser. It's like there's new news coming on your internet browser, hit refresh, right? So every time you see someone, make sure you clear your browser cache, delete your history. Otherwise, your perception is going to be veiled with all your past experiences. And this is so much easier said than done, especially if you had painful experiences in the past with this person. But we have the opportunity to forgive, to let go, allow ourselves to see the beauty of the Creator again within everyone in our lives when we choose love and we hit the refresh button. So refresh your eyes, refresh your heart, and give love another chance with all your relationships, if you so wish. And we come to Jeko Man Jane Man Koi. Only the one who experiences this actually knows. Actually, that's not what it says. It says only the one who experiences this knows, right? So again, this verse is emphasizing the importance of personal direct experience. And it suggests that true understanding can only come from the one that has had it, right? Again, we're seeing that same example of Bhagadanaji trying to explain it to the pundit, but the pundit can't quite grasp it, right? He's hearing it. So not merely from intellectual learning or hearing from others' experiences, only those who have personally experienced this state of faith will truly understand it. It's a knowing that arises from direct experience and nothing else. So how can we come closer to understanding this verse? Well, as a common theme in this discourse has been, we must emphasize that direct experience over everything else. Recognize that while reading, learning, and discussing are important aspects of the spiritual journey, the ultimate wisdom comes from that direct experience. Prioritize practices that lead you to those experiences, such as meditation, selfless service, or being in the direct company of the holy. And if those things aren't happening for you right now, or you're not having a lot of these experiences, release yourself from self-judgment, because each individual spiritual journey is unique, and have faith that everything is coming in due time. Try avoiding comparing your experiences with those of others. The goal is not to, let's say, replicate someone else's experience, but to have your own. Cultivate an attitude of non-judgment towards your own experiences and also those of others. My master would invite me to look at the wildflowers growing on the side of a mountain. He would point out to me that look at these beautiful flowers, and some of these flowers, some of them are still actually in their seeds, right? Some are sprouting, others are budding, a few are blooming, while others are dying or they're already dead. And so you have to understand, just like looking at those wildflowers on the side of a mountain, that everyone is at various stages of their spiritual development and is just as beautiful as those wildflowers. Just know that you're right on time all of the time. You're actually never off time. Have that understanding, have that faith that you're right on time, right? And cultivate this patience within yourself, as spiritual experiences cannot be rushed. They cannot be forced. You may want to heal now. You may want to become enlightened now. You want to have peace now, harmony now. But these experiences come in their own time and often when least expected. This is what we mean by it's beyond our mental comprehension. The divine plan has something greater in store for us than we could ever imagine. There's a reason, but you often can only see it in hindsight. That's why they say hindsight is 20/20, right? So cultivate this patience and trust the process. And remember, it's about the journey, not the destination. Sorry, I'm going a little bit over here. Almost done. So embrace the mystery, as some aspects of the spiritual journey cannot be fully understood until they are experienced. Even as you have your own experiences, remain open to learning. That the spiritual journey is a continuous process of learning and unlearning. The true spiritualist is always open to this constant spiritual evolution. Know that your understandings and perceptions will shift with time as your practice deepens and you go deeper within yourself. So be open to this transformation. Let go and evolve into your next iteration of self while walking upon this journey of 1,000 miles. The spiritual path is ultimately a personal and intimate experience between you and the divine, nobody else. It's not enough to intellectually understand spiritual concepts. We must personally experience them. And if you're reading spiritual texts, quoting spiritual teachers, reciting spiritual poetry, and doing all the spiritual things, but not deepening your connection with the divine, you are simply patting your spiritual ego and wasting your time. As Bhai Sahib Ji likes to say, don't waste time. Otherwise, time will waste you. So make every moment count, because time is precious, your life is precious, and you literally have this one opportunity to raise your vibration, come into alignment with all of creation. So why wait until your next life? Your memory is not guaranteed. Your next breath is not even guaranteed. That's why it's so important to start to cultivate the discipline, to tap into the bliss within before it's too late. So Sangat Ji, in closing, the divine has extended his hand to you. I only have one question. Why wait? Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you, Sangat Ji.